Hi guys, welcome back to the Great Area. I'm Elena,
And I'm Gia.
and today we decided to talk about a subject that near deep to us in our community, but it's in a lot of the communities around the world, which is colorism. And Gia's going to give you the quick definition, and then we'll have our views on it.
It's prejudice or discrimination against individuals with dark skin tone, typically among people of the same ethnic or racial background. Colorism within the Black community has been a serious emotional and psychological battle, but we're going to focus on in general.
In general, right? Because I feel, I don't feel like I've been targeted. Colorism, this is a new thing for me because I never understood it, but I know in our communities it's more like light skin versus darker skin tones, and I feel like I'm right in the middle, so I really never had a problem with my color in both sides. Like I haven't really, you know what I mean? It haven't affected me. And I was watching, because there's a lot of YouTubers out there talking about colorism, and especially how some Black men feel about dark-skinned women, and even dark-skinned men get a lot of like slack, you know what I mean? Not as much as dark-skinned women, because some reason for a man it's more acceptable to be dark-skinned than a woman. And it makes darker skin individuals, not just in the Black community, because it's in all over the world. If you're deemed darker skin, it's less attractive, supposedly. And because I hit in the middle, I was like, I don't get it, because if you love yourself, who cares what other people think? But for some people it's different, because they have different experiences, and it's harder to love yourself when you feel like nobody else loves you because of your skin tone. So how do you feel about that?
Well, I do, from my experience, and I know that the definition described it being a lot in the Black community. And growing up, my sibling was lighter than I was, and I did see my sibling get a lot more attention than I did, and more pictures and more focus. And so at an early age, I began to think that I was different because my skin was darker in my family. And I see that's the case with, I would say, Indians and also Africans. I've seen that.
Like the Hispanic communities as well.
Yes.
This is pretty much everywhere.
Yes, because there's a certain, I'm not sure what the word is, status or appreciation that you get for being a lighter, you're
the
prettier,
fairy or the pretty,
yes. The more you're passed out in Indian culture to get married first, I believe. And that's just me saying what I believe. I don't know if that's a fact. So I feel like it's a bigger problem than we like to discuss.
Right. Media
And what they portray on television.
And it could be, because I've seen, I've researched a little bit, and I've seen a lot of people talk about it's in the families. Like you have, parents treating, like you said, you felt like you were treated differently because you were darker skinned than your sister, and that's the same family. And then that's where it starts, I feel I'm less than this person because of my skin tone, instead of your parents be like, oh, I'm gonna take the equal amount of pictures, because of both. Is your sister older?
My sibling is older, yes.
Oh, sibling, I'm sorry.
Yes, my sibling's older.
She's older, but I had less pictures taken of me because I was the third child. And they just didn't have time to take pictures of me because they were running around. But, and I'm not the darkest child. My brother is, and he's a boy, so he already, like I said, with the boys, he already had, gender.
My brother is also the darkest one of the whole household. And I saw the way that he was treated, and it wasn't necessarily by my family. And I don't think that it was intentional. That's the one thing that I keep reminding myself, that sometimes these things are not intentional. They're so drilled into our subconscious that we don't even recognize that we're doing it.
Right.
We took this test about things that we might possibly, because basically what it is a bias. We subconsciously do these things.
Right. But I feel like it's a subconscious that was taught to us, or we saw it
Indirectly.
so many ways. Like you see it on, you know, we're in a generation where, and you were saying it earlier, back in the day, all you saw was fair, lighter skinned people. Like on commercials, all white people. On television, it was mostly white people. You never seen a representative of yourself. These days, I feel like it's different because they're trying to be more inclusive. We're still fighting the good fight, and you know, it's starting to be better as you know it goes on, and there's more representation of darker tones. But you know, us growing up in a generation we did, and even the generations before us, you saw lighter is better, lighter is better, whiter is better. And, you know, it's just subconsciously, you don't even think about it. So when you see a little dark-skinned kid, you know, you'd be like, okay, that's a dark-skinned kid. But when you see a light-skinned or, you know, white or mixed kid, oh, they're beautiful. But you don't say that towards a dark-skinned child. And the dark-skinned child is, have you seen like a dark-skinned person with like flawless skin? Is gorgeous, but you don't, it's just, you know.
You don't acknowledge it the same way
Yeah.
that you would. I remember seeing, I think it was for the first time I saw a really dark African male. And I remember thinking, I didn't know that they make people that dark. And that was so ignorant of me.
Right.
It really was, because I remember asking my dad, or someone in my family, let me just take that back because I don't know who it was, what they called people that were that color. And he said that they called them blue gummers. And I was like,
Because they're so black.
because they're so black that they were blue. But nowadays, I find that that's beautiful. And I was so excited to see that they had like, what was it called? A makeup line.
Yes.
For people that have that
Yes.
skin. I remember going in the store and not being able to find anything
Right.
that matched my skin tone. So just imagine.
Even me, and we just discussed, because she looking at the monitor and she was like, wait, you are lighter than me. I'm like, yeah, Gia. But even for me, it was hard to match. And I'm, like I said, I feel like I'm middle of the road as far as black people. There's lighter people than me, there's darker than me. I feel like I'm just brown. I'm just a brown girl.
I believe there was a study done, and they said at 7 years old is when you see the world and you're creative and you know what you want to do in life. You want to be that fireman, or you want to be this lawyer. And then by 15, because of all the stuff that you have consumed through television,
Right.
your whole purpose changes. And so I feel like, Elena, like you were saying, that it's the media that has done this. Whether it was intentional or not, we have no proof, but it's been done. So now that we know, how do we stop it?
Right.
Like, they do change the commercials, but the commercials are still light.
Right.
colored.
And when you think of like on the African American part, they still have the African American women, but they have the bigger, curlier, looser, curlier hair. You don't see 4C, you don't see 4B, you don't see the I don't want to say kinky, the more zigzag or tighter coiled patterns. You don't see the tight bushes on TV, not as often. I think they're trying to. Every once in a while they'll pop one of them in just to make you feel okay, but it's mostly, you know, and if you see a black person, they'll mostly put a mixed family. You know what I mean? You'll put the darker dad, and then the white mom, then you have the little mixed kids, or vice versa. You don't see, they might have some now, but you don't see a full black family, like darker skinned family. It's more, you might see my color or maybe lighter. You ever noticed that?
We have Netflix, so I don't really watch.
That's true. We don't watch commercials like that. I do sometimes.
That's
I'm like I
funny,
said,
but-
they're trying to get better. Like I feel like there's some commercials or some companies that's trying to be more inclusive, but it's still like a lot we can do because you know, people may not, and like I said, people might not try to be affected by it, like the dark skinned women. And some of these people do, like the YouTubers I watch, they sound so bitter. And I don't want to say the bitter black woman, but it does sound bitter when you say, well, you know, it's colorism, I'm on the darker end, you know, I'm the bottom of the totem pole. But in my mind, I'm like, stop telling yourself that. Because your words have power. you're not the bottom of the totem pole. You just have to be around the right people. And that's one thing how we can stop colorism in the Black community is, first of all, we addressed it. It's been addressed all over YouTube and the internet and everything. And at this point, okay, yes, we have addressed colorism, but how do we change it? Where do we start to get the conversations going to where it won't be a negative thing, and let's turn it into more positive? Yes, I am darker than you. That don't make me lesser than you. I'm still as gorgeous or as pretty as you are. And your opinion on how you feel about my skin color, okay, I don't have to be around you. Let me go around people that's going to accept me. Everybody's not going to accept you. Everybody is not going to be on team you. Like, you need to be on team you. You know what I mean? And I feel like if you are affected by colorism in any kind of way, you need to look in the mirror and say, like, okay, yes, my dad said I wasn't pretty enough. My mom said I wasn't pretty enough. The world might say I'm pretty enough, but, you know, I was made this way. And I feel like I'm gorgeous enough. And guess what? There's going to be somebody that's going to love you, you know, and accept you for who you are. You're going to have friends who accept you for who you are. So just create your own world, because I feel like we all have our own little worlds anyway. And things that we do, but no, I know you do. But I feel like colorism only affects you if you allow it to. Yeah, that's what anything in life. You have to, okay, so what if this boy opinion, this one person opinion is that ignorant that says that, you know, I prefer light-skinned chicks over dark-skinned chicks. That's what they say. So that's him. There's someone who don't like your dark skin or love it and praise it.
And that's the thing. So we talk about colorism, and we talk about all these. Now there's an awareness, and then there's also that understanding that there's something underlying that specific feeling.
Right.
So now you can't tell me who I am, because I know who I am.
Right. With colorism, I just feel like if it starts at home, you have to build your child up. And even if you were that child that didn't get built up, or your parents had their own opinion that lighter is better, you have to form your own opinion. You have to look yourself in the mirror and say, okay, I'm good enough despite on what spectrum that you're on, whether you're on the darkest of the darks or the lightest of the lights. Because believe it or not, the people that's like really pale, they have issues too, because they can't find makeup that's light enough to do everything that they want to do because they're too light. And then the same thing with the dark, like really dark. And like I said, the industry is trying to get better makeup wise, being more inclusive, and they're trying every day to like put out products and stuff like that. But as far as all I can say is the Black community, because I know there's colorism in other communities, but my community, I just feel like we do need to do better and, you know, start encouraging each other a little bit more. Because I've seen it in the comments. Oh, she's pretty for a dark girl, or she, you know, she ugly anyway with her dark skin, or just comments, just rude.
Oh, no.
You don't read. I'll be on the internet way too much, and I just read, like I just browse. I read and just see comments, especially on topics like this. I read to just see what people say, and people, you know, and we might get comments and about them, like it's an opinion, and
if
so
it's not relevant to where we're going and what we're trying to do as a community, then maybe you should check yourself. Right. Like, it's honestly true.
Like if you are in a Black community and you really feel like a darker skinned person is not as attractive, you have to ask yourself why.
And if you feel okay saying that, then there's a problem in itself too.
Yeah, like,
because I would never say that about my sister, my brother, any nationality. Absolutely not. Because everybody has their beauty, whatever they bring to the table, and you're in my life for a purpose. It's just, this colorism thing it's not even a thing. That's not even what I'm trying to say.
And you know, of course we know where it stems from. You know, it's,
yes,
unfortunately we know where it stems from, and unfortunately it's seeped down into our communities. But we have to do better. Like, the world is changing, and
So let's change
yeah,
something better.
let's change it. Who cares with your skin color as long as you're a good person?
Yeah. I think that we need to hear a lot more from other people that's outside of our culture of what exactly, now I'm listening to myself get really serious, as you said. We need to talk to a lot more people that are outside of our community and see what your experiences have been, because we only have an idea of what's going on the forefront of our world here in Baltimore, but I'm sure that there's a lot more topics on colorism that we haven't even touched or we don't even know about. So
it's just been our experiences. I haven't, like I said, I don't think I experienced a lot, like personally. And when I do watch, like I said, when I watch the videos, in my mind, I'm like, who cares what they think? But that's just who I am.
Right.
I'm like, look in the mirror, and I don't like on YouTube the tone that they have, like, oh, I'm dark skinned, I'm at the bottom of the totem pole, and you creating this world, and when people watch those videos, it makes them feel like there's nothing they can do because they're always going to be at the bottom. That's why I don't like it. Like when you're making these videos on colorism, I don't know the people names and stuff. You just have to, if you're going to create a subject or a topic, you have to be more uplifting, because somebody be watching it and be like, you know what, that's right. Oh, they don't like my skin tone. Oh, I am at the bottom of it. Like, you have to be cautious about that. You know what I mean? Because young people are listening, people are watching, and you have to, if you're going to talk about something that serious and not give light or give advice on how not to let a colorism affect you, then I say don't do a video just for views and just for a thing. You just want somebody to wallow in your misery. That's how I feel. I'm sorry. This might all get cut out, but it might not.
I think you'll make it work just the way it needs to work.
Yes. I have to cut a lot out because we're not putting up a 30-minute video.
No. But no, I think Elena, we talked about this subject. Well, she talked to me about this subject, and this is something I wasn't really aware of, because I noticed that I've kept myself focused in my own little world at times. But this is a big problem, and it does affect our children. It does affect our generation that's coming up. So we'd like to know what you think.
Yes.
I'm going to let you take us out this time.
So please leave comments below on what you think and how you feel, or your experiences with colorism. And also, if you have any topics you want us to talk about or share our opinions on, please leave them in the comments below. And we'll see you next time.
I'll see you later. We love you.
Love you too. Bye.
Bye.